programs and fellow Trekkies. My name is Ian Abraxas, and welcome to part 6 of my Star Trek Antagonist tier list. This time we'll be taking a look at the 3 Kelvin Timeline films and their respective antagonists. No, villains is more suited. First and foremost, shout out to Night Halcyon for sponsoring this series of videos. He paid me to give my hot takes on the Star Trek villains, and the reception I'm getting from them has been just so... it's been great. But anyway, let's establish some ground rules for the tier list. First and foremost, I do not judge based on a person's race or species. It is solely based on the character and how they are written and how I interpret it. It is solely my opinion. I welcome any discourse in the comments, as long as it's civil. I also do not organize, once I put them on the tier list, I do not organize based on better or worse. Where they are, I truly believe that's where they fit. And I do not slide them around to suit that. That's not what we're doing here. I'm pretty much just judging based on character and just, I'm not getting into the minute details of that. So, I think that covers it. Again, as you look at this tier list, I want to establish that I try to narrow it down a bit. Again, being the 60th anniversary, I thought maybe I'd hit 60. I remembered so many good characters. I ended up with 70. And I'm like, you know what? That's a good even number. I don't want to try and do any more than that. But as we get through this, I'm sure I'll probably discuss it here because this might be a shorter video. So as we make the transition from the Kelvin Timeline Films to the new batch of Star Trek shows that started with Discovery, I'd like to talk a bit about what we're going into and some problems I had with those shows and figuring out antagonists. So we'll save that for later. Let's go ahead and get into our first one from Star Trek 2008. The Romulan Minor Captain, Minor, M-I-N-E-R, make sure, Nero, played by Eric Bana. And I just want to say, first and foremost, I do enjoy Star Trek 2008, directed by J.J. Abrams. I really do enjoy that film. It was a fresh take on the franchise. It was a way to reinvigorate the franchise. I don't think it had gone stale, but considering we had Star Trek on the air, I mean, you had the original series in syndication, and then Next Gen, 1987, all the way to 2005, when Enterprise was canceled, people argued franchise fatigue. I don't necessarily agree. I do appreciate the spins that each spinoff brought to the table, and Star Trek 2008 was no exception. And then we had a villain. It's interesting they went with Romulan, but I like the Romulans as antagonists. And we went with a blue collar, because he was a miner. Him and his crew were miners. The Narada was apparently a mining vessel, which, again, they made a prequel comic, Star Trek Countdown, that sort of establishes things. I'm trying my best not to let those weigh in on these decisions. The writers of those comics, IDW Publishing, stated that Robert Okoye and Alex Kurtzman both had a hand in the direction those comics went, from Countdown all the way to, I believe, the end of the Kelvin Timeline comics, and established that they're all canon to that universe. Again, you take canon as you will, but personally, to me, I read them as canon, but I will do my best not to let those influence. I did establish it is strictly seen on screen where I make my judgments, not expanded universe. So no comics, no video games, nothing like that. So it's just purely what we see on screen. So again, I just have to go by their word, even though I know different. Anyway, so Nero is a miner who has been sent back in time, incidentally, by Prime Spock when he was disrupting a supernova that had destroyed Romulus and had killed Nero's wife and unborn child. This broke him entirely. He became essentially nothing but hate and vengeance against Vulcan, the Federation, and pretty much anyone that stood in the way, like was opposing the Empire or might have been responsible for the destruction of Romulus. God, I'm trying so hard not to use the Countdown comics. If you're familiar with it, you understand what I'm trying to say. The movie gives us glimpses into the character of Nero. And considering what he went through, it's very much understandable why he is the way he is. And how he's written, Eric Bana plays it beautifully. He almost feel like he is nothing but rage. He doesn't even speak until we encounter him on Vulcan, at the Battle of Vulcan. His first words literally is when they encounter the Kelvin, Captain comes aboard, and he just screams in rage when he impales the Kelvin captain. And so, but so yeah, that kind of gets us a glimpse into who he is. But when he discovers that the Enterprise has arrived at Vulcan, he sees that it's the Enterprise. First, he's dismissive, destroy it too. And then he realizes it's the Enterprise, realizes he has a chance for a more personal vengeance against Spock. The whole dialogue. Hello. My name is Captain Christopher Pike. To whom am I speaking? Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero. Again, he's not military. He's not military. This is a miner. He is a blue-collar guy who has lost his home planet, his wife and unborn child. He is a broken man, but he's still doesn't stand on formality in a way. So I love the writing of Nero. I love the character of Nero, and I love him as a villain. Even at the end, when Kirk offers him to help him and the crew escape the destruction of his ship, he just goes on this tirade of, I would rather watch Romulus die 1,000 times, witness it 1,000 times, than accept help from you. And then he just resigns to his fate. He just sits there and realizes that he just accepts it. The camera, of course, is flashing because of J.J. Abrams and lens flares, but you just see the smoldering resignation of defeat, and that's it. And I think I've got to give Nero an A rank. I don't think he's quite up there with our S tier villains per se, but he is a great villain and a great character. I do love Nero. I do love Nero as a antagonist and villain, but I think a lot of people have done it better. They've done it better and done it before. Again, I highly recommend checking out the Countdown comics, the comic book and the prequel comic, and just all of the IDW Kelvin Timeline comics that lead into it, because they broaden Nero as a character. Don't read the novelization. The novelization, I feel like, changes Nero a bit and makes him harder. Like, not as charismatic. Like the whole, hi, Christopher, I'm Nero, not in there. It's a little harder. Like, he's a bit more tougher, as it were, which might be better or worse. I enjoyed him as he was interpreted in the film, but I highly recommend looking at IDW's comics to get a better understanding of Nero. Again, I'm trying to go by what's on screen. Otherwise, I would probably put him in S tier. But again, by my own rules, I have to put him what's based on the screen, so he's an A tier. It hurts, but so it is. And I get it. It's my tier list. I can do what I want, but I set the rules from the very beginning, and I'm sticking with it. Okay, next up, from Star Trek Into Darkness. Again, I'm going to not let my feelings of this movie judge these characters. I'm going to try not to. So bear with me. John Harrison, or should I say Khan, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. He's introduced to us as John Harrison, is later revealed to be Khan. That's all he identifies himself as. He apparently was working with Admiral Marcus to develop weapons, new technologies, new methods for a more militarized Starfleet, until apparently he went rogue and blew up a Starfleet archive and attacked Starfleet Command, killing a lot of captains and their first officers, including Captain Pike. But then retreats to Kronos and saves the landing party that were sent to retrieve him, submits to the Enterprise, and helps Kirk and crew when the Vengeance shows up, until he gains control of the Vengeance, and then his personality kind of flips and it reforms into what we expect of Khan, I guess. He becomes kind of power hungry or more rageful. He shows his augmented strength a little more by crushing Admiral Marcus's head with his spare hands, which leaves Kirk a little more shaken. So how do I feel about this character? Honestly, I wish he was written better. Benedict Cumberbatch does a great job in being a menacing villain. I will freely admit that. Here's the problem. John Harrison / Khan comes off at first sympathetic. Like, before the reveal comes, you just think of him as a rogue agent. And then when he gets aboard the Enterprise and lays out his backstory, he does come off kind of sympathetic. And I enjoyed that little take on Khan, and was like, okay, let's see where this goes. Then he gets aboard the Vengeance after he's stunned by Scotty on Kirk's orders, gets up, knocks Scotty out, breaks Kirk's, he broke Carol Marcus's leg and knocks Kirk down and then kills Marcus. And suddenly he is very rageful, which, again, if you know the backstory, again, IDW, thank you, you can understand why. But going by just what's in the movie, he then just becomes straight up fury. You'll notice a pattern here start to develop here. He's nothing but fury, and he claims he's going to continue what him and his people set out to do, which is world domination and secure genetic superiority, I guess. So yeah, he does a complete 180. He's no longer sympathetic. He's now a royal prick. And that's kind of where the movie lost me and where the character lost me, because I'm like, okay, so now any sympathy I've had for this character is gone, and I don't care. And he's eventually just put back into cryo sleep with the rest of the augments from the Botany Bay, and that's it. He's never seen again, brought up again. Even the comics kind of make passing mention of him, but it's very minute. And unfortunately, IDW hasn't continued this comic series. But anyway, so how do I feel about this character? Problem is, I want to like him. I do, because I enjoy Benedict Cumberbatch as an actor. The problem is, the character sucks, because he does this roller coaster of being very secretive, like just outright like, oh, he is a villain. Wait, he's okay. There's sympathy there. We have reasons to feel sympathetic for him. We kind of don't trust him because of what he did, but he's kind of sympathetic. Oh, now you're a prick. Now you're just rage, and now I'm reminded, like, oh, you're not Khan per se, but you claim to be. I'm putting him in C rank. Like, I don't think he quite meets D tier. I don't hate him as much as Future Guy or, the little impact he had as God, but he's C tier. Because, again, I want to like him. I do, because of the take we got, but at the same time, the second half of that film and his whole flip into rage, which some might say, well, it's understandable. Kirk stunned him. Yeah. But then, like I said, he just becomes this rage and he runs from Spock, even though I would have thought, yeah, Spock's armed, but you've been shown to take a couple stuns, and I don't know. Like I said, Into Darkness is a mess of a movie. So him as a villain, it fits. But yeah, he's not D tier, he's C tier. But we come up to Into Darkness, secondary villain, Admiral Marcus. Oh, look, another Badmiral. Man, you really just want to stay a captain in Starfleet, because apparently when you get promoted to Admiral, you just become corrupt as all hell. How many do we have on this list? 1, 2, 3. And that was just the 3, I think, that made it to the list. We have 1 Starfleet captain that made the list. Yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3 at least from 3 different shows. 1 movie, 2 movies, 1 show. But Badmirals is a running thing. And Into Darkness was no exception with Alexander Marcus, played by Peter Weller. His second appearance in Star Trek. I don't think he's the CNC in this universe. He's just a high admiral that happened to be on duty when it came to the bombing at London. It's later revealed that he actually was part of Section 31, if not head of Section 31. Which Marcus freely admits to Kirk and Spock that the archive was part of Section 31. Again, for those... I'm not nitpicking the movie. But he admits he knew it was Section 31. Sends Kirk and the Enterprise on a possible suicide mission to Kronos to essentially bomb the hell out of John Harrison with these new long-range torpedoes, which apparently house the rest of the augments. I don't know if Marcus knew that or not, but it turns out Marcus's whole goal was to militarize Starfleet, start a war with the Klingons, because he knew it was coming, so we should start it, or Starfleet should start it, so they could end it. Sure, with Section 31 leading the path. A super secret, top secret organization, at least in the Prime Universe it is. I guess in the Kelvin Timeline, a little more out in the open. He dies at the hands of Khan, literally, with his skull being crushed in front of his daughter, Kirk, and Scotty. And he was willing to destroy the Enterprise when it saw that, oh, you hadn't fired. And Kirk talked to Khan and is like, ah, shit. Well, now I've got to kill you. So he comes off one note. Like, you just get the sense that he's bad. Not really out the gate, but as the movie goes on, even before he shows up, like, I feel like during the second talk with Kirk and Spock in his office, you do get to feel like something's up. As somebody who knew Trek, when he admitted that it was Section 31, I knew right off the bat something's wrong, and I immediately didn't trust the character. And lo and behold, when he showed up on the Vengeance, commanding it, I'm like, called it. So, how do I feel about this character? He's a D rank. I've legitimately tried. Upon watching this movie again, I was like, is there anything redeeming about him? He's not even a good father to Carol. He did save her before he blew up the Enterprise, or tried to. But even she suspected him of something. So it's like, and again, I mentioned the comics because that's where a lot of the lore comes from, and I'm not using that to impact my decision. If it was, like I said, Harrison Khan would probably be bumped up. Marcus might be bumped up as a kind of like, okay, your motives are more clear. I'm seeing it. Still doesn't make you a good character, but it bumps you up to at least a C rank. But since I'm going by with the movie, D rank. He's a D rank. He doesn't get any higher. I'm sorry. Into Darkness sucked. Moving on to the last Kelvin Timeline film, unfortunately, but probably the better one and one I enjoyed the most. Case in point. Star Trek Beyond, with our villain Krall, as he called himself, but then his human name was Balthazar Edison. Okay. Okay, Balthazar. I'm just calling him Edison. He was a former MACO that, when the Federation was founded, absorbed into Starfleet and was given command of the USS Franklin, which was lost. They crash landed on a planet, and he kind of went insane. He was hoping Starfleet would find him. They didn't. He didn't like the idea. Apparently didn't like the idea of the Federation or what it became. One of his logs was that he didn't like the idea, or at least what he told Kirk, breaking bread with the enemy, because he fought in the Xindi conflict and the Romulan War. So he was a soldier, and they apparently wanted to make him a diplomat, I guess, in a way, by making him captain of a starship. When he crash landed, he saw that all the autonomous technology and the ability to drain the life force out of beings to rejuvenate yourself at the cost of heavily mutating yourself, two other surviving crew members said, all right, and just cast off their humanity and did it. He destroyed the Enterprise. He did. He successfully destroyed the Enterprise, captured majority of the crew, was out to destroy Starbase Yorktown, almost succeeded until Kirk stopped him and sent him off into space, where he was destroyed, eaten, dissolved by the weapon he tried to use that would annihilate all of Starbase Yorktown. So how do I feel about this character? It is not apparent who he is. It's not revealed until very close to the end of the movie who he is, and more or less why he is doing this. He pretty much just seems to be out for a piece of tech that would complete a weapon on the Enterprise. That's why he sent out an underling. They brought it in, destroyed the Enterprise, captured the technology, and knew what he was going to do. But when it's revealed that he is Edison, a former MACO that apparently became disillusioned with the Federation and what it stood for, it kind of made sense why he felt abandoned and realized that he wasn't meant to be in it. Do I feel for him? No, I don't. But I can't relate to the character. He is a soldier that was turned into an explorer, and then as he was exploring, he got marooned and forgotten about. So, do I think Krall / Edison is a better character? Oh, I forgot to mention, he's played by Idris Elba, even though you could barely tell up toward the end. I do like Krall as a villain. I feel like he just falls short of Nero, per se, just because, again, as you've noticed the pattern, all these villains of the Kelvin timeline are all very vengeful, rageful, and it just kind of is like, okay, that's your motive. Hey, you rage. Again, rage is a powerful motivator. Hasn't been everyone on this list, but for all three of these films, it's pretty much what it's been, is rage. And Krall is definitely a better villain than Harrison Khan as a primary villain. He was successful in destroying the Enterprise, which, gotta get you some points. He brutally killed several members of the Enterprise crew by sucking out their life force into his own, which is horrifying, to say the least. It's weird also that the whole thing happens by coincidence. The fact that the Enterprise picked up this piece of a weapon that he needed, he had hacked into Starfleet somehow, monitored that they acquired it and was like, okay, got to get the Enterprise out. And so I do feel like he is absolutely a B, a good villain. Not great, not S tier. Like I said, as much as I love Beyond, he's a good villain, not great. I just wish we got more, like he was fleshed out more, because he just doesn't like the idea of the Federation. He believes the frontier, like humanity should not have, or at least, I don't know. It's wild that he very much was up against being an explorer. He cites that he was in the Xindi conflict and the Romulan War, which the Xindi conflict was solely the Enterprise and the Delphic Expanse, and which can't explicitly say he wasn't on Enterprise during that. You could say he was on Earth when Earth was under threat from the Xindi. So sure, we could say that. So he was geared up and ready for an alien fight. And then of course you had the Romulan War, big event in the Star Trek mythos. Where he fought in that, we don't know. It's never really said. But then when the Federation's formed, he's put on the Franklin, a Warp 4 ship, and just said, yeah, go. You and these old former MACOs, now Starfleet officers. Starfleet's not military. Go out and explore, make peace, break bread with other civilizations. Didn't like that, apparently. Didn't like the idea of that. So you could say he's like a soldier coming home and has no use in peacetime, which is a real thing. Again, I can't empathize with that. I'm not a soldier, haven't been through that, so I can't empathize with him. But I have friends who have made peace. I have friends in the military, friends who are ex-military, and it's a PTSD is a thing. So I do believe that this is what Krall went through, but I feel like as the movie portrayed him, I just feel that doesn't quite get him to A tier. B tier is still good, don't get me wrong. He's still a much better villain than John Harrison Khan was, just not quite up there with Nero. But yeah, so I think that's where I'm going to leave it. That's going to be our Kelvin timeline, of course. So then the next video, we will jumping into the start of New Trek with Discovery. So let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room here, since I have you all here for a second. After the Kelvin Timeline Films, and I was like, again, I used the villain Wikipedia to help me like see their names out and figure out who I remembered who was memorable. As we got to Discovery onward, I really struggled with antagonists and villains. Picard was easy. It was only a 3-season show, and I remembered each antagonist. Discovery, after season 2, I was like, who's the antagonist? Like, who do I really remember? I didn't even remember the head of the Emerald Chain from season 3. Don't remember her name. Can't remember her name. So I felt like, if I can't remember your name, sorry, I'm just not putting you on the list, because obviously you were not that memorable to me. Season 4 kind of had an antagonist in a way. And season 5, we definitely had an antagonist. I remembered them. Lower Decks had some memorable antagonists. And this is going to probably stir up some controversy in my friends who don't like Lower Decks. But hey, each their own. No judgment here. Prodigy, very easy. Very easy with Prodigy, because I loved Prodigy. Prodigy was amazing. But then Strange New Worlds. They didn't have a long list of antagonists for Strange New Worlds. And I honestly sat down as I was figuring this, how to do these videos. Who was a memorable antagonist in Strange New Worlds up to season 3? The 3 seasons we've gotten so far. And I couldn't think of a single one. I could not think of a single one. that I remembered fondly. Strange New Worlds is very episodic, so it just kind of moves around. Sometimes episodes have a connecting theme to a point, but no overarching season-wide arcs. Whereas Discovery was, Picard had season-wide arcs, Discovery season-wide arcs. Strange New Worlds was episodic, which was fine. It's just fine. I love Strange New Worlds. I couldn't remember. The only one that came to mind was the end of season 3, but again, I couldn't think of the name. I'm not saying Strange New Worlds is poorly written. I'm just saying, again, I was trying to focus on an even number. I overshot the 60, and when I landed on 70, I was like, perfect. And then I went, oh crap, I left out an entire show. Well, there's that. Okay, and you might also notice, and again, I'm going to be admitting something here. Paul Giamatti's character is missing from this list. There's a reason. I have not seen Starfleet Academy as of this recording. So the reason for that is I've kind of taken a hard stance on what I support financially and whatnot. And streaming services are one of those things. I don't enjoy streaming services anymore. And Paramount Plus is a streaming service. And quite frankly, the fact that Starfleet Academy has now been canceled, we will get season 2, but then that's it. And Strange New Worlds, after season 5, which is barely a season, is done. We have no other Star Trek projects coming out. I honestly, I've gotten to the point where I just do not want to support these people, this company anymore. I'm a big proponent of physical media. So when Starfleet Academy comes out on physical media, I absolutely will have it. Again, that might sound like hypocritical where I'm not paying a monthly fee, but I'm willing to pay for physical media. That's preservation for me. I own everything that's come out of Trek thus far. Personally, when it comes to like I buy the complete series. Picard, bought the whole series. Discovery, whole series. Lower Decks, whole series. I even bought Section 31. Judge me all you want. That's fine. I had it because I have everything else of Trek. So it's there. Doesn't mean I like it. I have it. I even have Into Darkness. Doesn't mean I like it. When I try to do a franchise rewatch, it's there. I grudge and go, well, I gotta get through this. So anyway, I did my best with New Trek when it came to Antagonist. Discovery, I did struggle with after season 2. Lower Decks and Prodigy were easy for me because these were the ones I could think of. Picard, pretty straightforward. I knew immediately who I thought of. But Discovery, I struggled with after season 2. And then Strange New Worlds, I couldn't think of a single person. I'm sorry. Again, please, in the comments, be kind. But if you could think of a memorable character, if you could think of a memorable antagonist in the comments, by all means, put them there. Then I can at least be like, oh yeah, okay, I know who you're talking about. I'll even rate them in the comments. Sure. But yeah, it's just, New Trek has been rough for me as a lifelong fan. Discovery got better after season 1 for me. That first season was very rough. I haven't hidden my opinions on that. Picard, it can be rough, but I'm a Next Gen fan and I did enjoy the ride. Lower Decks was just a love letter to Trek. Especially 80s, 90s Trek. I am a strong proponent for Lower Decks and I sincerely love it. Prodigy, what happened to that show is absolutely criminal. I loved Prodigy. Prodigy was fantastic and had the makings of something wonderful. But here we are. So, and it's criminal what happened with Starfleet Academy. In fact, one of the friends that wanted me to do this list has said it is probably the best modern Trek he has seen. And that is a compliment by any measure. When he said that, I'm like, I have to check this out. But I'm a man of my principles. For better or for worse. So I'm sure Paul Giamatti is I love Paul Giamatti as an actor. I'm sure his character is going to go down as one of the better Star Trek villains. I have no doubt. But it wouldn't be fair of me to add him to this list when I have not seen the show to judge him. Even just by looking at clips that I've seen, I cannot judge him based on clips alone. So when Strange New Worlds Season 4 drops, I have no idea if I'll buckle and renew my subscription and then watch Starfleet Academy with Strange New Worlds. But I even thought about just binge watching it before I made these videos. But then I'm like, that doesn't seem fair, because again, I am a man of my principles and I do not want to give Paramount my money. I will preserve Trek as best as I can, and before anybody says anything about Jolly Rogers or anything like that, the thought crossed my mind, but I don't pirate what I love. I love Trek, so I will not hurt it. So judge me what you will. Go ahead and let me have it in the comments. That's fine. But I wanted to make sure you all knew going into the next video what we have. I'm not going to do a recap when we do it. I don't even know if it's going to be based on show. I might be able to knock all these out in one video. We'll see how it goes. But this is our current standing as of the Kelvin timeline. I really do appreciate it. If you've watched all the way to the end of this video, I really appreciate it. I sincerely hope that I have at least entertained you. That's the whole purpose I do this for, is to entertain others, just to brighten people's day. I might have rage baited a few people, which it happens with tier lists. It happens. I understand. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day after watching this. Again, that's what the comment section's for, but please keep it civil. I don't respond to outright slander, and I just want civil discourse. That's really all I want. If you really like the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. If you ring the bell, if you subscribe, you'll be notified when I go live 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, typically, where I stream pretty much games that I've been playing. I like to entertain people as I play video games. It's one of the few times I actually get to play video games, or when I upload a video, which recording videos is getting harder for me just because, again, work is burning me out. So but I was paid to do this, so it made it a little easier. So, folks, again, thank you for watching. I sincerely appreciate it. And as always, I shall see you next cycle. This is Zayun, out.